Hi, it's me, and that's him, and we're the Sci-Fi Scholars.
And we are talking Assassin's Creed.
So, Assassin's Creed is the most recent computer game movie.
Yes.
And, like all of its forebears, it has major flaws.
It was Warcraft and Assassin's Creed were touted as the two movies that were going to change everyone's opinions on video game movies. Actually make good video game movies.
But Pixel was still a better movie because it was silly and knew it was silly.
Although I think we're the only ones that think that.
Yeah, but Pixel was hilarious.
Gets absolutely panned.
So does Warcraft and so does Assassin's Creed. But at least those two thought they were going to be good, and Pixels knew it was being stupid.
That's a good point.
So, my opinion of what went wrong with Assassin's Creed is there was a guy who was making a movie, and there was a guy who was in charge of the intellectual property of the games, and they both had a couple of vetoes and a limited supply of power over this movie. And they took turns screwing with each other's projects and got stuck in the middle, and nobody's happy.
Yeah, it felt...
Except for the guys who were like extras who got paid. They would have been happy to get paid.
It just was so disjointed. Yeah. No scene really flowed into the next. It really felt like...
Oh, the very beginning where they had a bit of running and then the Assassin's Creed logo came up at the very beginning of the movie, that was fine.
Yeah, but after that, every scene did not feel like it flowed into the next.
Yeah.
It was like, here's a scene written and directed by this guy. Now we're going to go into the next scene that's going to be written and directed by the next guy. Then we might throw a third person in there who wrote it, but and they both direct this scene. But then we'll go back to... It just was like, no scene really felt like the other scene to me.
Yeah.
Like, there was leaps in logic that didn't make any sense. Or maybe not leaps in logic, but characters kind of went from this to this really quickly. Like, he went from, I don't want to help you guys, to I'm going to help you guys really quickly. Like, and they didn't explain why.
Yeah.
At all.
Although, the very first few scenes before the Templar group catches him are quite cool.
Yes, I did
when he's a boy and when he's doing the street running
Yes.
stuff, that opening scene was like, I'm like, yes, they're doing it.
I did really enjoy that.
And then they changed their minds.
Yeah.
And the other thing is here, I've played 3 of the Assassin's Creed games and you've played none.
I haven't played any, so I don't know.
Or maybe I played 4. But the point is, like, I have played the games, and I went into it knowing the games, and there was parts that I enjoyed that you didn't pick up on, and you just don't even really remember. Like, the Leap of Faith. For me, great homage to the games. I'm like, it's obviously stupid. You can't jump off, effectively, the Eiffel Tower and land in a pile of hay and survive. It's stupid, but it pays homage to the games.
I didn't mind that.
Obviously, you wouldn't have picked that.
I knew that was part of the game when I watched it.
But...
So I knew a little bit about the game. I just don't know the stories of the games. I know that he was, it's ancestry, and gets put on a table and he goes back in memory, and then plays out their memories. I have no idea why, and I have no idea what the biggest side of it is, but I just know that they've done games in different time frames, and it just kind of I liked the one thing I did like is the machine they used.
Yeah, the new version of the Altimus.
Yeah, the Altimus. That's it. I really did like that. And I thought that, like, the kind of the back and forth a little bit, it was a little bit disjointed in the back and forth because they didn't really pull it off very well.
Yep.
But the idea of it and the way it looked and the way he was going about it was cool.
Yes.
A couple of the fight scenes were really stupid.
Yes.
It didn't make any sense to me. Can't remember now which ones they were, but there was a couple of times I literally just went, really? Anyway. But that's part of the disjointedness. I found it hard to follow, and not in the sense the storyline hard to follow. Like, the story was pretty straightforward. He was a kid who's an ancestor of some person in the past that the people that own the Altimus want to figure out.
The guys who have the Altimus are the Order of the Templar who want to control the world.
Yes.
And he's the descendants of the Assassin's Creed who basically want to keep something. Freedom of will.
And then, they needed to find something that his ancestor had protected. So they were using him to find that, and then at the end of the movie, the chick that was helping him, but not about helping her dad and all that sort of stuff, ends up going full on for the Templar.
Which is just a way, which in my opinion was their way of setting up for a sequel, which they're never going to get now.
And he then fully embraces being a brotherhood. So the storyline itself wasn't hard to follow. What was hard to follow was where they were at in that storyline with the characters and where they were at and where they knew what was going on and what they didn't know what was going on. It seemed that he just went from being, no, I'm not going to help you, to, yeah, sure, I'll help you, to, oh, crap, maybe I shouldn't have helped you. Oh, shit, now I need to get out of this. And we need to find... And then all of a sudden he was like a badass brotherhood man at the end. And I was like, I get this is kind of the plot points you probably wanted, and character development moments you wanted to hit, but you just kind of went, character moment, but no connective tissue to it. That's what it felt like to me, and it felt like that for almost all the characters.
Because in the games, you have a little bit of like, there's obviously the cutscenes set in the past. There's also cutscenes in the present where you see him walking around talking to himself, being like, "What the hell is going on?" And he's kind of slowly develops throughout the game. And because it's a game, you feel more connected to the character.
Yes.
So some of the stuff works really well in the games.
But they didn't translate that.
But they didn't translate properly to a movie.
Because it was also some of the other Brotherhood ancestors in the company, like in the place, were all against him, and were like,
he's going to give away our secrets.
He's going to give away da-da-da-da, and then all of a sudden they were on his side. Yeah. And they didn't show him changing in front of them at any point, and they didn't really show us either. So it was just kind of like, oh, we need them to be on his side now, but we wanted them to be against him, so there was conflict.
Yeah.
It just was very disjointed.
Which is unfortunate, because I went into this having enjoyed the games, really hoping, because the intellectual property and the stories for this are quite an interesting perspective of how you could deal with time travel. Obviously, it's not realistic, but it's an interesting idea.
I was looking forward to it and thought, hey, I like the idea of this movie, because I like the idea of the games. I just,
not really your genre.
Not really my style of game, and not really what I have never really gone, oh, that looks like a fun game to play. To me, it looks a little tedious to play. Yeah. But that's just my own personal opinion. But I like the idea of the story, and so I thought this movie will have a cool story, and I'll be able to, it'll be something that I'll get into and I'll really enjoy, because everything was pointed towards it being fairly good. Yeah, they just missed the ball hard.
Which is unfortunate.
Which, like you said, could easily just been too many people with control, but not complete control. And that's just what made it disjointed. Like, they were like, the game person was like, yeah, all these references are awesome, let's put them in there, which slid past the guy who was like, let's make this a movie that makes sense.
Or it could have even been that Ubisoft, who are the guys who made the games, were at odds with whoever was actually really making the movie. And the people who are backing from the movie perspective weren't quite willing to go that far.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, is where almost all the game movies get stuck. They try to get this middle ground between reaching a huge audience of just being a blockbuster movie and staying true to the game fans.
But it's also, like you said, a game you play the game. So even the shortest campaigns on some of the other games, they're 6 hours. Yeah. You're with that character for 6 hours. There's so much more that goes on in that minimum 6 hours. And I know Assassin's Creed's a lot longer than that.
Some of them, I'm pretty sure one of them's like 40-something hours.
Yeah. So you're invested in that character when you're playing it. You become that character. You're relating to the other characters around. And so you have a certain expectation on that. It's really hard to transfer that sort of thing where you're controlling the character as well, playing and being invested in it, into a 2-hour movie where you're watching the character.
What I think would work better is someone like Netflix with their original mini-series type things.
Yeah, that actually
because the way that they've approached some of this stuff that they've taken on is different to the way movies do things.
Yep.
And they seem to be taking a lot bigger risks by putting stuff out there that's not the formula you've already seen.
Yeah, and they give like big creative control to the people that are making it. It's like, you're making this show, like you've pitched us this show, you make your show, we believe in it, here's the money to go make it. So you fuck it up, you don't get any more, and you don't get another chance.
Yeah, so I think, obviously I'm not like, potentially someone needs to pitch a game show
Yes.
to them as opposed to trying to pitch a game movie to the big names who are all reasonably conservative. Like if you look at trends in movies, someone started making action like superhero movies, they started going good. Everyone started making superhero movies.
Yeah.
Someone makes a good western, everyone makes good westerns. Someone makes a war movie, that's the new thing. Everyone makes a war
Yeah, the only danger with making it a TV show is that it just kind of becomes like playing the game, but without the control.
Yeah.
So the point being, what's the point of making a show that's up around the 20, 30 hours when you can play the game and have much more enjoyment and investment?
Because you're uncoordinated and you always die on that one boss who always kicks your ass.
I know, but that can and might be a hurdle that may not be able to be overcome, or is a bit harder to overcome. I mean, yes, why not try it? Because the movies aren't working.
Yeah, and it's possible that there won't be any more movies for a while. Although there has, like I've said before, the Halo TV mini series.
Yeah, they've done pretty well.
That did Forward Unto Dawn was done amazingly well. It was 6 episodes. It's only a total of 10 or so minutes per episode or whatever. But that kind of thing, even if you did it on Netflix, it could be a really short show or any of the big streaming things like Hulu or whatever. Short, that could work well.
I think it would have to be a limited run series that's only 6 episodes, not a reoccur season after season.
Yeah.
It has
the advantage of doing, for example, Assassin's Creed is you could have the medieval time period, you could have the Spanish Inquisition time period, which is what they've done for the games, and then they just didn't stop, and now they have every single time period ever. But they've actually finally stopped them. But the point is,
which is why they're trying to make movies. But the interesting thing being, they tried to use every part of every game or bits of every game, and then tried not to make the movie like any of the games at all by having them in the here and now at the very end, which kind of doesn't really make any sense. But anyway,
overall, it was an interesting attempt,
but it wasn't good.
It didn't.
I didn't even find it enjoyable.
I found moments enjoyable, but overall I was really, really disappointed that they didn't manage to do it.
Yeah, and I didn't even have very high expectations either. Yeah. So, yeah. Good try, but you failed.
So, what was your favourite Assassin's Creed game? Because the movie can't be used first choice.
What did you think of the movie? Did we get things wrong? Or, was there moments that you actually thought were brilliant about the movie? Yeah, let us know in the comments, and thanks for watching.
See you next time.